Hello, hello. Hi, Alyssa.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good, good. Thank you for coming on to the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Hold on. Got to shut these other things. Okay. So I'm here. Is that coming up on your desktop? You
What's
got to
that?
turn the volume down on your laptop.
Oh, okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, I can still hear it.
Oh no. Is that better?
Testing, testing. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Let's go back. All right. That should be good.
Good?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So thanks for coming on to the podcast today, Alyssa. You and I met through you watching the podcast with James Bartley on the Cosmic Switchboard. And we ended up having a lot in common. And so I'm so anxious to talk to you today and let everyone hear your story as well. We have a lot of the same experiences. And so after talking with you today, it's been a lot of aha moments, right? Yes, yes, yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and start with a little bit about your story when you first started having experiences? Because you had some when you were young, right?
Right. I would wake up. I didn't know until like this year. I just put it together that I was vibrating when I woke up. Almost like a shaking, just kind of like an energy thing, right? So,
How old were you?
About 7, and around that time, I was also discovering that my dreams came true. I would dream about certain situations and then they would happen and play out just right in front of me, which was really weird. And I would just stand in place and be like, okay, well, if this happens or that happens, like I know that I dreamt this before and I know that I can see what's going to happen, at least in my own life. So that became a thing. And I also, for a time, I stopped doing it because I felt bad about it. Um, but I find that I can influence people's thoughts. Um,
When did you start doing that?
when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah. But I started to feel bad about it because I felt like I felt like I was putting something onto them and I wasn't getting like a genuine response. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's cool and everything, but I don't really think I should, screw with that. So I didn't, and I just left it be. And I still don't. I don't mess with it. I wouldn't want someone to do it to me, so I therefore do not do it onto other people. You know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about that for a minute because I remember when I was 3 or 4 and I was doing things like that and making stuff happen and it scared the death out of me. That was like 3 or 4. And so do you remember having any experiences younger than 7 or 8?
I don't even remember. I don't have any memories from those times actually, and it's hard to even recall those ones. And I remember them because they were so significant for me. You know, so I do remember seeing things like all the time, even before 7. I do remember that, and some of it scared me, some of it didn't, but ultimately I did end up just turning it off. Right around when my mom got like super sick and I needed to like throw myself into a 3D version and like, do things, not be a kid and like explore things. I needed to help with my brothers and help with her and the house and eventually, bring in an income and whatever. But she is the one who introduced me to a big part of the metaphysical world. like in the way of tarot cards and this and that. She was actually the one who, almost like she was having an awakening of her own. And I was kind of riding that wave, and it was something I was into. So I was just glad to have, especially a parent that was into it and that I could speak to them about it. But I would always ask her, like, do you feel like you've done this before? Do you feel like you've lived before? Like, and she laughed. Not that she didn't believe me, but she just said no. She says, do you? And I said, yes, a lot. And she, I mean, what do you do with that? She always believed me, but for someone who doesn't have that pull of memory, what do you do with that when someone's telling you? So I understand. But so all those things shut off. I shut them all down. Oh, especially the empath thing and like picking up on people. Like, I went through a lot of years not touching anybody because
Wow.
I could feel like, and I was a waitress for a long, long time, like 20 years. And I would just dodge. Like, if we were in the kitchen, I'd, dodge people touching me, especially if they were in pain. It happens with animals and humans. If someone's in pain and I'm unaware, I don't know that at first, my whole body goes tingly, like pain tingles. And if I touch them, I kind of,
When did you start knowing you had that ability?
pretty young, probably about 12, I started to notice it. I got the whole, oh, you have a healing touch thing. And then when I was working, everybody's back like just hurts, whatever. So people complain about this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, let me try and work it out for you, whatever. Oh no, I went to a massage therapist. I went to this, that, and the other. I'm like, just let me give it a shot. So I do, and all I would really be doing is like, I just care a lot. You know what I mean? And so I just put that into what I was doing and like really focused on helping them like relieve what they're going through, and whatever pain they were having would stop. So
Wow.
I don't really know about that. I try not, I'm still working on how to drop that and not keep what I take, kind of thing, So there's some stuff that I'm still like dipping back into because I don't know how to like protect myself, kind of. So, what else? Oh, so yeah, it was all pretty turned off, except my intuition. I always kept that on, of course. Like, I've always listened to myself and did what I thought was best instead of what other people were telling me was best. But I just went through like some super hard times too, and I wasn't trying to hear nothing from nobody, especially on a spiritual level. Like, I was like, wow, I'm down here living this and y'all want to talk. I don't really want to talk,
So you had some amazing gifts at a young age, and you realized that, and then you got your mom got sick, and so you kind of had to shut all that off, and then just throw yourself into deep, 3D reality where you had to grow up really fast, and
Yeah.
and then, how old were you when your mom passed away?
25.
And then, was she sick for a while?
Yeah, she got real sick when I was about 11. She started
Oh,
having
okay.
seizures at work. Yeah. And then her health went like downhill real quick, and she used to be a gymnast. It's not like she was unhealthy or anything like that. Like, one of the healthiest people I know. But our traumas fester and they create blocks, and then they create illnesses and diseases. And I really do think that that's how that went, because she had a buttload of trauma from her childhood that she didn't understand what to do with, So as we are taught, we push it down and we keep going, which is the wrong thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to be sick and screw yourself up, it's the correct thing to do. But if you want to find the lesson in what happened in that experience and just kind of be grateful that now you have that knowledge and that you can relate to people on that type of level, it gets a lot easier. And it really is true. Because if it wasn't for everything I've been through, I could not relate to the amount of people I can. High, low, in between, you know? So I think it's very useful. I didn't always think that. And I always thought that I was constantly getting thrown through the ringer. Like, what did I do in a past experience to deserve what is happening to me right now, is how I used to think. That is
Mm-hmm.
how I went through majority of my life. And I do believe that's how I ended up in all the pain that I was in, like physical pain, is from just pushing those things down. Because when my mom got sick, I shut off my emotions. I shut them way down because to me, everybody was breaking down around me. So what was needed in this unit was not another breakdown, but a rock. But at the same time, I did not take care of myself and process my own emotions because I was too busy making sure that everybody else was okay and that everybody else had someone to talk to. I couldn't talk. I really didn't have anybody I could talk to about who understands that. I didn't have any other friends with a super sick mom and they were having to like play mom and eventually work to pay bills and this and that. Even when I got my own place, I still paid their bills and still helped with the boys' clothes and just whatever. It just didn't stop. You know what I mean? Which is fine. I'm totally grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for the lessons I pulled from it. But if I could have understood then that it was not only okay, but needed to have my emotions, then it wouldn't have taken me so long to get where I'm at now. It took a long, long time to break those walls down that I built to survive and to make it. You know, like, I can't deal with that right now. I've just got too much going on. Like, I can't afford it. Yeah, you can. And you should make time for it because you're only going to be better for it once you get it worked out. So
did anyone come along that kind of helped you, or did you figure it out yourself how to start letting go of all those stuck emotions?
I figured it out myself. And I was pretty jazzed about it. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like, I just feel like crap when this comes up, whatever. I'm like, you know what? What happens if I confront it? I know what happens if I push it down. So what happens if I just let it come up? So I did. And I was like, holy crap. I felt so much better. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to let that happen with everything. But it took me 7 years.
Wow.
Yes, to actually get back to where I was before I closed myself down. Because I used to care so much about everything, everyone, whatever. But then when I shut it down, I also shut a lot of things out, which
right.
sucked. Yeah.
And isn't it kind of it's more stressful when you actually have to say no and stop and say I can't do it anymore. Everybody has to do their own now because you need to do you now, and it almost causes even more grief because really you can keep going. You have the strength to keep going and going and going, and but at some point you're going to break down. You know, you're going to break down. And so did anyone realize that, or did they like shine you on like, oh well, goodbye? You know, how did other people deal with your healing process?
I've lost a lot of people just because when your consciousness level grows and your vibration changes, so do the people around you. And that's okay. And it's just harder to relate. now that all of that is done, and not so much me to others, but others to myself. It's hard for them to understand because of the drastic change that it's been of who I was before and who I'm turning into. Like, what, not even who I'm turning into, who I'm getting back to. So all of these people came into my life in a time where I was already traumatized, where I was already, you know, shoving things down and doing myself a huge disservice. And honestly, everyone around me too. I mean, you can't give what you're not. So you got to be you, all of you.
Did you find that when you finally shut down and went into like a healing mode, did you attract more people that needed you? Um, um, and then maybe went through some of the healing together, or did you attract people that triggered you to release those emotions? And we talked about triggers earlier.
Yeah, that's funny you say that. Triggers. Yes, people that trigger me. And I started to look at it like, why is that happening? And not like, are you kidding me? This again? Da 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 da. I'm like, okay, well, you already did that. So let's look at it a different way. I'm like, okay, so why is this triggering me? What in me is triggered? And so I'd get to that, like, okay, and where exactly did that start? And then I'd go all the way back to the very first whatever it was that made me feel or think that way, and I transmuted it. I'm like, nope, not going to do that anymore. It's okay. I understand why you're at that point of where you're at in that time and in that space, but we're done with it, and we're just not going to be there anymore.
So
And so
there's a certain amount of letting go. There's a certain amount of acceptance. There's a certain amount of forgiveness for others and yourself. There's just a new way to look at it, to where you're like, ah. One thing that I noticed about sometimes grieving is, say, like if we lose a family member and we grieve, but we keep grieving because we feel like if we stop grieving, they're going to say, "Well, you didn't love that person," or you're gonna feel guilty because you're like, "Well, if I stop grieving, it means I didn't love that person," you know. And
that's
so
programming.
yeah, so we hold on to it a lot based on our own like guilt. It's like,
Yeah,
yes, we love that person. How do you get to that point where you're like, okay, I love that person enough to let it go? I mean, it's like, that's like ass backwards, you know? I love you so much, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let the memories go. You know?
right. I think it's understanding that what you're holding on to is not for them. What you're holding on to is for you. And your love for them, your everything for them will never go away. It's going to live in you, but how much you suffer with it is up to you. It's up
Yeah.
to everyone. We are programmed for our emotions to be some type of way, because when I was a kid and big things would happen, I would have almost no reaction. And I got all the time like, damn, you're so cold. Like, you are so cold. I'm not cold hearted. I see it differently than you. I don't see it as it's happening. I see it for what it is. And that doesn't trigger an emotional response in me. It's just like a, huh, you know? But
Do you think it's a
how,
point of numbness at a certain point? Do you kind of get numb? Like it's just too much and then that's it? Or do you actually have a different awareness to where you can selectively, decide if you're going to invest emotions into this or that or the other?
I think it's that one. I don't think it's a numbing, because I'm not. Like, I very much feel it. But do I have to like live in it? Do I have to drench myself in it to have the experience? I don't believe so. I mean, why? you can go through your emotions without drowning in them.
Wow.
You know, in my opinion, I maybe it's not for everybody, but I very much think that it's true. I don't feel it's a level of numbness. I feel like it's a level of understanding of where we are and who we are and what's going on, that I understand the process and there's no reason to be sad about it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're here to do a job and we are here having these experiences, and I just don't see what's so bad about it. Even death, like, why? I'll see you in a little bit, you know? But it wasn't always like that. My mom's loss was hard for me.
Right.
Like the hardest loss I've ever had.
Of course.
And damn, I lived in that for a hot minute and it sucked. And my advice to people is have your feelings. Yes, please. Please make sure you do. Do not push them down. Just do not live there.
Right.
Don't drown because nobody's going to save you. So you better learn how to swim in it. But swim on top of it. You know, like a little mosquito, like skimming on top. Don't plop yourself in. Would be my advice.
Beautiful. So moving on, when did you start getting you back? I mean, did you have to give yourself permission, or did it just start happening naturally, or what happened with your gifts when you started getting those back?
Oh, when I started getting my gifts back? That's been happening in like the past 7 years. So what I've noticed is that the things coming back are because I made a change to love myself. Not superficial love, like straight up, unconditionally love myself, to fix myself, to fix my vessel, because it was dying. Like I was going to die if something didn't change. I had no idea what's wrong. I just did not understand. Doctors can't find anything wrong. There's still nothing wrong. And it's just
Wow.
other than like fibromyalgia, and which, what explanation do you have? I don't really want to get into that, but you know what I mean? It's just blanket statements is what those are. Those aren't even like diagnoses. But anyway, I don't want to like push anyone's button about it, but it is what it is. But they weren't giving me any options besides painkillers or nerve blockers or, you know, just things to cover up. They're Band-Aids. Yeah. They're not fixes. Band-Aids. And they destroy your system. So once I started making that change, it wasn't only for me, it was for my daughter and my nieces, because I knew I needed to figure this out, because I did not want them to have to go through the same thing. And this was at a time where I thought that the things I had were hereditary. So I was very much fueled by the idea that this may trigger in them at some point. And instead of wasting my time, I needed to find some damn answers that I could leave them with to help them if these things occurred in their lives. Mm-hmm. And what I ended up finding out was that from what I'm eating, drinking, thinking, feeling, I'm doing it to myself. Mm. And as I've healed my emotional, it took a long time. It's not like this just boom happened overnight. This was the past 7 years of changing my diet, exercising, getting more conscious just about everything that goes into my body, what I'm paying attention to, what I'm watching, what I'm consuming in all areas. And this bit of healing that came up was, and I was having like intrusive thoughts, like just crazy business for so long. And this last year, it's only happened twice. And I do believe it's almost like I'm being tested, like, oh, are you over it? Are you over it? And it's like a poking. And so when all this stuff happened last year, I got a very, very strong like message sent to me that I should be clearing out my stuff. because I was going to need to hold space for others. And I was just like, okay. I didn't really understand what that meant, but yet I agreed to it. And that just opened a floodgate. All year long, it's been trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma, just clearing, getting to that neutral space where it's just, you see this side of things, you see that side of things, and then here you stand in the middle, not taking either side, because you kind of understand from both.
Right.
It's like, you know, so, and then I started noticing that the sun was purple. So I started looking at it more. And then I found out that sun gazing was a thing. And I started seeing clouds, like some in the shape of eyes, quite a few in the shape of a double helix, and not just the, oh yeah, I can, yeah, that looks like it could be that. I mean, this looks like it was purposely placed for me to see. So when all of these things started to happen, I started to see a tunnel from the sun. And I started to wonder if I could connect with it. And all these things, I had never meditated till last year. I'm too like jittery, right? So I could never like sit down. It's always got to be doing. What can I get done? Like, how can I utilize my time in an efficient way, kind of thing, right? So last year I was like, you know what? I'm going to start meditating. So I started doing that and doing yoga and taking more time for me and like making sure that I'm okay and that everything's good mentally, physically, whatever, and the rest would follow. So I wrote these things off as just odd because nobody could see them. I ask people all the time, is the sun purple to you? No. Okay. Do you see those colors in the sky? Like, do you see the green, the blue, like all of that just like floating around? No. Okay. And so after doing that for a while, I had went out one morning and I'm sun gazing like with the sunrise, and I started to get super nauseous, and I'm still not super clear on what happened, but all the trees started turning color. Everything around me was like a purple shade, and then there was a planet next to the sun. And it was like having the strongest psychedelic experience without the psychedelics. It was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. And then more stuff like that was happening. And some of it I'm not even sure what to do with, to be quite honest with you. I'm not sure if I was shown it just to verify that, yes, these things are things that we can do and connections that we have. And you're right, and keep going and whatever. But so far, it's getting different. Things seem to change, right? So things that were happening in the very beginning aren't so much happening anymore. But sometimes the sky like opens up and I see stuff. Sometimes I'm not really quite sure what I'm seeing. It's very interesting and entertaining, but again, I don't know what to do with it. And
well, so when you look at the sky, do your eyes go out of focus a little, and maybe one goes a little depth a little farther than the other, and then so you can actually see that other dimension? Because that's how I see it. Like one of my eyes, I don't know, but it's like it looks another way and one looks this way. But when you start adjusting your focus and your depth perception, you start seeing things. Did you have to do any of that?
When I was sun gazing, so I was having an experience before I started, it almost like it activated a lot of that, because my eyes like did something weird. They like unfocused, and like I'm not even quite sure what they did, but it's like you're describing. And then as like in the beginning when all of that was flooding in, I was getting pressure in my left eye, like it was almost squeezing, right? And it depending which one I want to look through, yes, I do the left or the right. It doesn't always, sometimes it's just there. Like if I stare long enough, it's just there. But in meditating, when I bring stuff like forward and I'm seeing stuff, I'm doing that with the pressure in my eye. And so I figure it's like maybe that we're calling on that light, because from what I understand, it resides like in our eyes or like comes through it or something like that. So I don't know if that's what we're doing by unfocusing and focusing, is like that we're tapping into that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's it's definitely when you're in meditation and you start messing with your eyes closed, and you start seeing like that gray world or whatever. I don't know if it's always your third eye looking, or do you really like, are you really using your two eyes to look in the darkness? I mean, I am supposed to be studying that stuff and bringing that forward. But do you have any like explanations for, is it your third eye that's seeing, or is it your right side, left side, doing weird things?
When it's my third eye, like all of this goes cold. Like my forehead is wet and somebody is like blowing on it. That's the sensation that it is. So
whoa.
Yeah, so when I'm getting things, like when certain things are around me, or I'm seeing things that other people do not, yeah, this part goes off. Sometimes it'll even drop into my sinuses. I've had like my lips go numb because of it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what some of this stuff means. I'm still working it out myself, and we're all different. So people can tell you their experiences that may be similar, but it doesn't mean that that's what it means for you.
Well, what I understand is right behind in your sinuses is like the seat of your soul. And a long, long time ago, we were more in tune with the deep-seated part, the center. And then as time and as we evolved, our awareness started coming forward and more up and more away from that center. So we stopped being as connected to source that way. So when you say that your awareness is dropping down into your sinuses, I believe you're going deeper and further into your awareness to get to more of a cosmic level, to more of the source. You know what I mean? Does it feel like that? Well, why you're going cold, I don't know. I don't know anything about that though.
Me either, because it'll happen in my back. It happens to my crown. A lot at night. If I'm super relaxed, they're trying to they're trying to catch me and do whatever they're doing. But I do think that it's probably linked to that, because we see these things because our consciousness grows, because we realize that there is no separation, and that's an illusion. And we are, all of us are directly connected to source. I mean, you just are. And when I blink super quick, I see this bright ball. It's the one I see when I close my eyes, but it's not big, bright, and green in my face. It's almost like this bluish white color, and it's way, way in the back, right? And I do sometimes wonder if I can actually see my connection. I'm not sure about that, but when I saw source, like in my experience, it's a big ball of energy, which I had no preconceived notion of what that was. I didn't even know that a source was a thing. I did DMT and I came out of it and was like, what's the source? And my shaman was like, oh, dang, da da da, and starts telling me about, like all this stuff about whatever. And that's kind of what it looks like. I do believe that we can all see it. It's a belief. Like you have to be willing to drop everything you've been taught, pretty much. And since I didn't so much believe in much in the first place, it was pretty easy for me to just let the truth in. Like it's just, if things don't resonate with me, I've just never taken them. Like religions and this and that.
Right.
Like, I don't know, that doesn't sound so great to me. I don't know, that kind of sounds off. Like, no, thank you. I'll just whatever. I always believed in the universe. Always. Like I always believed that there was so much more. I always would lay out at night and watch the stars. And out here, I mean, it's crazy with the stars out here. There's hardly any lights. There's hardly anything. And so there's just, you can see UFOs going all the time, everywhere. I had one park on top of my house. Like I watched it scream across the sky and park right above me.
Do you want to tell us where you live and then people will understand?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I live in Pahrump, Nevada.
And how far is Area 51?
It's not all that far. I think like 40 minutes?
Wow.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. It's really not that far. I've never been out there. I don't really care to go out there. But
so you actually had UFOs park over your house?
Oh, yeah. And I can see the outline.
Light, like the light shining down and things like that?
No, like I just see them move. Like they go from one side of the sky to the other, and they're brighter than the other stars. And they're a different color, or at least this one is. This one's like an orangey color, almost like Mars looks to us from over here.
Wow.
But I've also seen them. I've seen like light portals open in the sky, and then whatever is zooming across it disappears, and then I'll see another light portal like blast open, and then it comes back out on the other side of the sky.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Oh yeah. And my kid was there for that. I was like, look up. Like nobody believes me. Somebody else has to see this. And you can see some of the most amazing stuff out here if you're paying attention. It's just nice and dark, and you can see whatever.
I've had one experience where I was outside at night and I said, if I come from the stars, show me a spaceship or show me where you're at. And I stared up there, and all of a sudden a light just went, whew, and it was in the Big Dipper. Like, the Big Dipper, it was right over the Big Dipper. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. So I do believe that we can communicate telepathically or whatever. Some people say that you can call these in. I've seen it happen. I've seen people say, I'm going to call in a UFO now, watch over there. And then all of a sudden, whoo, a light will go.
There it is.
So I don't know. We're really connected on more levels than we know. Have you ever seen any aliens or had any experiences with that?
Yes, sorta. But first I want to tell you that when all this stuff started happening and I was seeing constellations come in, I saw one of the dippers. I'm not really sure which one it was, but there was an eye in the center of it.
Wow.
There was so much to do with eyes. Like, oh yeah. And I totally skipped over how I saw a huge, it was the size of it took up all of my vision. I saw an eye constructed in the sky, like straight up put together. Like the pupil came, and then the overlay of the eye came, and then all the vessels that like flew out of nowhere and then landed onto the eye were the colors of chakras.
Wow.
And still have no idea what that's about. I saw an eye.
I've seen eyes come at me, really big eyes, or an eye come at me. I've also seen like the Vesica Pisces open and have beings come through. Yeah.
Yes, like,
Yeah, the experiences go on and on. But you had also said something about a green ball of energy, and then also the grid. You've seen the grid or something.
oh,
Tell us about that.
okay. So the green ball of energy just showed up after like my connection with the sun, and after like all these downloads starting. I was just outside one day sitting there, and all of a sudden I just started seeing all this weird stuff, and I was like, what is that? And that's how it started. But this green ball started to stick around, and every time I close my eyes, it's there. And then one day I started to be able to see it with my eyes open, and it is different. Sometimes it's just like right now, it's a deep purple, and I can see it on the wall because it's wherever I stare. And but it's probably about this big, and in the middle it's sparkly. And I still haven't figured out quite what that's about. So in the middle, it's like a bunch of little balls all stuck together, and then they're shiny, like sparkly, and then gold rings are around it, and those spin, and it creates, I'm assuming it's creating this purple force field that is around it. It's really cool. But the green ball, when I close my eyes, used to take me into tunnels that led freaking nowhere.
Oh my God, girl, go ahead. But yes, that happened to me.
Right? And one time there was a tunnel of eyes. I'm like, okay, that's weird. But yeah, it would just take me through all these tunnels. That has stopped, the tunnels. Sometimes they come, but they don't go nowhere. They're coagulated now, and not just thin circles. They're more like, you ever seen that show Stargate?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, like the coagulated looking stuff in the middle of the Stargate? That's almost what it looks like. You know, the watery looking stuff or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so that's what these tunnels are like.
Yes, I've seen it.
Have you?
Scared to death.
Yeah, it's spooky at first. You're like, oh my gosh, like, where am I going?
Well, I want to say a good 20 years ago, when I first started meditating, there would be a green dot. When I close my eyes and I look in my eyesight, there's a green dot. And if you look at the dot and go into it, you start flying through tunnels. And I would fly so high, like it was literally like, like at the water park, the slides, how they're all like this. Well, this was a see-through one. It was like glass. So I could see myself shooting up and I could see the city lights getting smaller and smaller. And it shot like this, and then I shot straight up, and I was just kept going, and everything started turning. Next thing you know, it was all like colors. And I was so scared. I'm like, no, go back. Boom, back in my body. And then then that green ball, I had green balls of energy coming through my wall, and those green balls of energy turned into star beams. And then as far as the Stargate, when I started meditating, I want to say about 7 years ago or something, like when you're looking down a corridor, like a very long hallway, and there's like, and if you draw it 3D, you've got 4 dots, and if you have those dots all go down like 3D, if you take your eye down that way, at the very end is that Stargate, is that watery type of thing. And I got sucked so close to it. It's like you either go through it or you don't. I was so scared. I was not going to go through it. But yeah, those things exist. And have you ever had went through those Stargates and those like weird wavy, energy portals?
I went through one, and because I've been working on not being afraid to just let go and have the experience that is coming to me, because I do feel like one way or the other, it is an experience we are supposed to have. because otherwise, why is it coming to us? I don't
Mhm.
really think we can access things that we're not supposed to, because we're in a grid, like on a simulation kind of thing. Like, I've seen the information, like how it comes in, and then I've also seen it gathered and how it goes out.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's like balls of energy, like you were saying, about the star beams. But the tunnel that I went through took me out to a pyramid, which I, again, didn't know what to do with. It's really cool, but I don't know what to do with it. But that's
What
the
happened?
only,
Well, what happened when? Okay. Oh, this is blowing my mind. So that movie Stargate, where
Mhm.
there was like a pyramid and then like a ship landed on it. I always thought that was interesting. I could never really wrap my wrap my brain around it. But how did you end up in a pyramid? I mean, like, what'd you do when you got? Were you walking there, or were you in a different time, or what was it like?
I I don't know the answer to like really any of those questions. It was almost like I was in the air and I was observing it. Like, I could go around it and just kind of like inspecting it, but I don't know why I was taken there. I'm not really clear about that. And I do see lots and lots of pyramids, especially in the beginning of this.
Hmm.
There was just pyramids all when I close my eyes. And the stuff that I see when I close my eyes, especially like in the morning and in the evening, with sunrise and sunset, what I can see when I close my eyes is actually projected into the sky when I have my eyes open. So if I'm seeing light codes, for instance, if my eyes are open, I'm aware that I am receiving them. Excuse me, because I can also see them in the sky. So I'll close my eyes and I'm like, oh, yep, there they are. So I'm not sure why I see both. Um, but also in the same deal, the film that I can see in the sky, it's like a purple, and that will sometimes open up and show me stuff. Like, I saw a reptilian face in one of them. Like,
What is
about,
it like a film or a it?
yeah, I don't know how.
Can you maybe describe it as like a holographic monitor or a screen, holographic screen?
Yeah, a screen would be, yeah, almost like, I guess like a screen. It's more like a blobby, but it does do the static thing like a TV does. And then it'll just, it's almost like fizzing away layers, and then I'll see something like the reptilian face, or I saw like a ship. It like zoomed in on this corner. One time there was a map. I have no idea what for. Again, I'm just hoping my subconscious is picking these things up for later use, because I do not get what to do with some of this stuff now.
Well,
But a film would be,
I have okay. So when I first learned about the third eye, astral projecting, what I learned was when you close your eyes, you have to find a purple square, and it's like a window into a different reality. And once you find that purple window and you project your conscious through it, that's where you can zoom out and go. So if you're seeing that with your eyes open, and you said that you could see it in when you close your eyes and when you open it now. So basically, you kind of have lost the veil. Does that make sense? Like you have, and that's what we're supposed to be doing now is that veil. We're supposed to be piercing it and just um, um, dissolving it. I mean, that should be happening for everybody. I don't know. What do you think?
that is what I think. I think that this is a shift that everybody is meant to make. Like, not to get like dark about things, but if you still want to stick around, you should be shifting. You know, like for one, look, it's a difficult shift because you have to release, but it's so worth it. I mean, if people could see what I see, there would be no doubt that they would make these shifts that are necessary. But that's not the point here. You have to believe, you have to unconditionally love yourself and others and realize that we are one and we are brothers and sisters, and that division is not real. And we are not divided, not one iota. I mean, not at all, not even down to our cellular level. I have seen my cells. I have seen my DNA. I have seen all of it activating.
Yes, I have too.
Right? Isn't that so cool?
Yes.
I feel like it's such a gift, like to be able to visually see your healing.
Yes.
Like, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to be on the right track. Like, look at this. Like, I can just see it. Like, there's my DNA just activating. There's my double helix. Oh, look, there's my cells up on an atom level. Like,
yes,
it's, our bodies are changing. They have to. And all of like the health issues that are going on and stuff like that, your body has to get rid of these lower density deals that you have stuck in your body. You can't ascend with it. Not from my understanding anyway. And I know a lot of people want to shy away from shadow work. I really don't think that that's the way to do it either. That's just my opinion.
Well, can you kind of explain for the viewers what you mean by lower density and shadow work and things? Because I mean, we hear it; it's like a catch-all phrase, but it's very hard. People want to visualize it in order, because I'm the type of person where you can tell me, but until I actually can visualize it in my head, I don't get it. So, can you kind of like explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. Okay, so the lower density stuff. Like for instance, I'll use myself as an example. So with my body, I had a lot of lower density things, like a lot of trauma, a lot of emotions attached to those traumas were stuck inside of my body because I did not process them. So they created blocks.
What does that feel like? Do you remember? Could you describe what that feels like?
It feels like I got hit by a truck. Like,
it's pain. It feels like pain. Right?
Yes. Like, that's what you'll get if you're holding on to it. But even when you're releasing, again, I don't know if that happens for everyone, but in my experience, it has not been without its cost. It's extremely painful for me because I can actually feel the blocks like tearing away to be like dealt with kind of thing. And it hurts. It's like, feels like it's just like my inside is being torn up and like torn away from itself. But when your body vibes, so when you shift consciousness and you reach a higher vibration, your body is vibrating and existing at a higher frequency than before. And because of that, these lower vibrational things like your trauma, your stuck emotions, whatever, they cannot reside in your body any longer because there's too much light coming in. Like you're vibrating too high. So think of it like the Flash. You know how he like does the phasing thing? So that's kind of how I think of it. Like you're just vibrating like so much higher now that it's shaking all that shit loose.
It's like it's rattling and breaking it up.
Yes. To be dealt with and be done with because it is no longer needed. It's gone. You got to get it out of here. And then what was the other? Oh, shadow work.
How do those emotions escape your body? You know what I mean?
I think when you heal it, it releases. I think it just lets go. But I have also literally felt the blockages come off of my chakras, and it hurt. Like, it really
Oh,
didn't feel nice. Yeah,
wow. So
right,
those could be portals or entrances and exits for those things. Wow.
right. And if we allow what's happened to us to almost like calcify those, that's what we're going to get. That's what I got. Um, Again, I don't know if that happens in everybody's experience, but I kind of want to lean towards no, because I just happen to have a higher pain tolerance, and I think that if somebody with a low pain tolerance experienced that, it wouldn't have been a very good ordeal, like, at all. It probably would have been pretty excruciating. So I don't think that we all have the same experience. I hope not, because that would suck for the person
Yeah.
with low pain tolerance. But I did notice that they come off of the chakras that I had blocked the most, like solar plexus and my heart chakra were like very protected. Like, not even protected, they were just blocked off because I felt I had to. So that's the conclusion I've come to. Is it true? I don't know. Feels true to me. I mean, we all have different levels of truth, though, don't we?
Yeah, I have something to add to all this. I just so happened to find out like a couple months ago about each different emotion or a thought is like a orb, like a little orb, like a little bubble, if you will. And each emotion, the bubble or the orb has a different shape. Now, the shape of love is real pretty, like a butterfly. But pain and anger, now those are like spiky. Those are like pointy and sharp. Like anger would be like a sharpness. So let's just say that you have a lot of anger built up and balled up like a hard ball. And then let's say if now you decide that you want to start raising your vibration or whatever, or somebody triggers you, and that ball of those sharp things have to break up, and now you have to experience that yet again. You have to experience that pain and that anger. But I think a way to help you release that is by exercising, drinking plenty of clean water, eating right, and things like that. Because I believe that your emotions can be processed through your body just like food or anything else. I mean, possibly, if you think about it, it's just energy. And so when you eat, whatever you eat, if you're eating high vibrational foods, you know, you have to process that through your body just like you do emotions. And so that's why crying is very, very healing, and letting that out and things like that. So, but we're too afraid to cry, you know what I mean? But yeah, so those are all things to think about when you find those stuck emotions, you know, and in healing, you got to take care of yourself. And you know, you don't always have to just relive it, but you might have to refill it and then process it and let it go. That's why it's important to be healthy and exercises. That helps to let those go. What do you think? So, or does that
Oh, I
resonate?
completely agree. No, I completely agree, because I threw myself into exercise because it's so cathartic for me. It's I can work through a lot while, riding a bike or something, or hitting a bag, or lifting weights, or just whatever you choose. You know, the crying thing. Oh yeah. For a lot of years, I found I would always encourage other people to cry. I'm like, oh, let it out, like, you can't hold it in, da da da. But what did I do? I held it in, because I did not find it a weakness in other people. I very much found it a weakness in myself, which was a huge disservice to myself. And
Yeah.
so just this last year, I cry whenever I feel like I need to. I don't even have to know why I'm crying. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter because,
I love it.
like, yes, because at the same time as we're healing our own stuff, we are also healing multi-generational stuff, like ancestral stuff, like things that are attached to our line. So if you don't cry it out and just feel the emotion, like you were saying, you don't have to relive it in your mind, but you do need to feel it. You
And
need
that's
to
why
feel
people
it.
trigger us to help us. And we blame
Yes.
that person for
Yep. Stop
triggering
blaming them.
that. We
Thank them.
blame it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Absolutely.
we should love the triggers. We should love, you know
Yes.
what? After you fight with someone, freaking hug them and say, damn, I love you for that, right? But
Yes.
growing up, I was a huge crybaby. I cried all the time. All you had to do was say boo. Like, look at my eyes already. It's easy for me to cry. It is. I feel like I don't have any blockages because I'm just going to cry.
Right. And that's so like freeing. And you're right. It's how you get rid of it. Like, you do have to feel it. I do believe that we are here to master ourselves, our emotions. I mean, really, when you stop and think about it, what is harder than that? What is more challenging than figuring yourself out and your emotions and getting a handle on it?
Right.
I cannot think of very many things that are more challenging, not here anyway. So, but like you said, you don't have to relive it, but you need to feel it. You need to go and be like, okay, I remember this feeling. Maybe have a little cry about it. And then to the part of you that is stuck there, you need to bring it back with you because time is linear. And so, but in all actuality, everything is happening right now.
Right.
So you feel the younger parts of you that you left in that time and in that space with that traumatic experience. You go back and you find yourself and you say, look, I know and I understand. And yes, this was hard, but we're okay. Look, this is where I'm at. Let's go there. And just take the piece of you with you. Like, I love you. Thank you for staying here in this time and in this space and like holding this back for me. But I'm ready to deal with it. You don't have to be here anymore. And then take it back with you and integrate it with yourself. Like, congratulations, you got a piece of yourself back. And really,
Yes.
I think that's another big part of why we're here is to gather those pieces that are strung about in our trauma.
Yes.
Because we do really lose a piece of ourselves like that. Like, it just stays there almost like a guard. Like, nope, don't have time to deal with it. It's staying right here. Almost like that part of you creates your block until you're ready to deal with it.
Yes.
And that part of you move aside and let it flow.
Yes. Yeah, very interesting. Two things, or maybe three. I'm not sure. You talked about seeing the grid or the grid.
Yeah.
Is that anything like the Matrix? And bear with me because my mind's spinning right now. This is an amazing topic, and I really enjoy talking to you. And when you said that you can look into the sky and see almost like a hologram and see a reptilian's face, and then we talked about seeing our DNA, which to me, you really do see the spiral. And if you keep going up, you can see what's up there. And generational, how is it that we're healing generational too? Do you have a great way of explaining all that? That was like 4 things.
Oh, no worries. So, okay. So the grid. I just see it around the sky. I have seen it when I close my eyes. Like, I have been zooming through it. The Matrix, I think, is
Wait, what do
a
you
very good
mean
vibe.
you're zooming through the grid? Well, first of
Yeah.
all, what is the grid and how do you zoom through it?
Oh, I don't know how I'm doing it. I just close my eyes and it happens. A lot of these things, I'm not quite sure how I'm doing them. They're just happening. Um, that's
But what does
actually
it look like? Does it actually look like a net or a
it
screen?
does.
I have
Yes.
seen,
Yes.
I have flown up and I have been stopped by something that looks like a screen.
Yep.
Not a TV screen, but the screen that's
No,
on the
no.
window.
Like a screen. Yep.
The screen that's on the
Yep.
window.
Yep.
Is that what you were
That's
talking about when you see something like that in the reptilian face on that screen, like a mesh?
Not on that
No?
one.
Okay,
The mesh is like what I see that just surrounds us
that's the
all the
grid.
way around.
Yes,
And
yes.
then in the purple, like I mean, I could look at it as a TV screen, right? Like it's similar, I guess, but that's like a purple film, and then I see stuff inside of that, and
Okay.
that's what I saw, like the ship and the reptilian face in. Um, what was the other thing?
And then how you've seen your DNA, what that looks like, and then how are we healing our
Oh,
ancestral lineages and things like that?
okay. So my DNA, it's just a double helix, right? So it just goes up, and I can see it's just like glowing this bright, beautiful, like green color. And then I also see the chakra lineup, and oh, what's his name? I believe it's oh Hermes. The healing thing, and it has the wings on it and the two serpents that go around. I see that too. And straight up, I have seen those wings like here, let me get my hands. Okay. So they're like on the side of it like that, right? And then they perked up and started spinning. I don't know what that meant, but it
Whoa.
was pretty cool to see. Yeah. Um
Was that with
so
your eyes open or in a meditative state?
no, I had actually just closed my eyes. I don't some of these things I don't even have to meditate. All I really have to do is just that,
Yep.
and it happens. Like just instantaneously. I'm like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
somewhere else." Sometimes I do need a second. I guess I think it depends on how much I have going on in here. If my mind is racing, it takes me a minute. I have to simmer down or whatever. But if I'm just like, whatever, I'm just here, just having a good time, yada, yada, I'll close my eyes real quick and boom, it's just all there. So I think it's connected to my state of mind. The more
Yeah.
clear I am and the less like jumbled and the less like 3D crap that I have going on in my mind, or anything actually, it doesn't limit to 3D, but the quieter my mind, the quicker it happens.
It's almost like if you think about being in a trance, um there's like delta waves and different brain waves that we get. I believe that when you tune out, like let's say you're just walking down the road and you tune out the noises like the sirens and the yelling and the cars, you begin to operate in a different brainwave, like almost like a trance. And then that is when your brain, I believe, you could close your eyes and then see things because you're just focused, you just tune it all out, and that's what you do in meditation anyways. And so one of the
Right.
tools I think that we have to be doing is learn how to be in that meditative state as your eyes are open and you're walking through the world. I don't know if we all did that, if we could change the world, but because we, like when you said that when you were young and your mom was sick and you had to close that off and dive into the noises and all the chaos, now your focus is onto those things, and those things will grow and manifest around you, and you'll start attracting more stuff like that. It's all weird. But so the whole point of quieting the mind, sitting down, like my friend Coco, I don't know if she's there or not, but for anybody of you that is watching, you have to go to YouTube if you have comments. But anyways, like she'll go home from work and she'll sit and she'll meditate for like 2 hours. And that's a beautiful thing if you have the time to do that. But eventually you will learn what it feels like, and you'll be able to carry that feeling with you as you go through life. And that's where you begin to tune things out. And so like when you were saying, you don't let, after a while, certain things just don't affect you anymore. Like you just see it different. Like it's almost like you become this solid shield, where now these things are bouncing off of you, bounce. And so one of the things that I really wanted to share earlier was that when we hold space for people, when we hold the space, we have a choice where we can open up and as an empath take that in, and now we're feeling those emotions, and now we're reacting, and then everyone around you is reacting. Or you can choose to hold that space and hold your shields and let it bounce off of you, bounce. If for some reason we can maintain a peaceful, like a peace, then those things will quit coming at you, and you'll create a sense of peaceness in the people around you. And then next thing you know, everyone around you in a loving space, and they're like not throwing things anymore, and now they've calmed down. And to me, that's like holding the space, that's carrying the love vibe or whatever. I don't know if you want to call it a high vibrating or a higher vibration or whatever, but can you tell me your experience about like holding the space and what it means for you?
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And because as you change, everything around you changes. Everyone, everything, the way you see things. And like you said, if you can keep that meditative state with you, like on a constant all day, you will see and experience more of these things. It is your perspective. So when I'm walking around bebopping, whatever, what has happened is I almost see this place like a show.
Yes.
Like
it's, yes.
And in choose your own adventure book kind of thing, you know? And it's, I think everybody would do with, maybe not taking themselves so seriously. I really, because I think if people knew that these things were like achievable and actually possible, I think that it would change the world and how people act, how people treat each other. I mean, we can't continue with this. It's not sustainable, not one bit. And everybody's got to get just better at what they're doing. And it's not, I'm not saying, and that's myself included, I'm still working on things. This isn't like, oh, I have all the answers.
Right.
You know, it's my experience. It's my little tidbits that I have that might help someone else be unstuck from where they're at in their process, or like, you know, whatever, or whatever you want to call it. Everyone's got a different word for something, you know, whatever.
And so we've talked, you hear a lot about shadow work and not always being in the light, and not always just being about love. We also have another side of us, which is the shadow side. And, you know, we're supposed to get in touch with those things too, because I believe that your shadow holds memories and thoughts and emotions. And, you know, people shy away from experiences and things like that. And so So once you go back and forth and you work through both sides, you find yourself in the neutral zone now, and that's also part of keeping the space. But you listened to Linda Good McGillis earlier, and you had made some great comments about what you wanted to bring up as well. Do you want to bring up some of those topics and what you felt is what was really captured, your attention, and you want to share?
Oh yeah. Give me one sec to look it up because I don't even
Sure.
remember. That happens often. I'm
No,
like, oh yeah, that's why I wrote it all, because I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna remember.
we have touched on some of those subjects, you know.
Yes.
But a really big one right now is shadow work. And I don't think that people are going to understand that. So if you have anything to offer about that, that would be great too.
Yeah, what I did, like, again, everybody's different. So whoever's watching, like, don't be put off by, oh, that's not what I think it is, or that's not, just listen. Take what resonates with you and then toss the rest. Like, that's really what you're meant to do with it anyway. Don't follow what anyone says word by word. You need to tweak it and do your own thing and see what works for you.
Yes.
Okay. So what worked for me was, my shadow work for me was going through everything and anything that I just felt crappy about, or any experiences that I went through that left such a big imprint on my personality that it actually changed it from what it was, and not for a good thing either. It turned, whether it turned fear-based or anger or whatever, it was just unprocessed stuff. So it just started coming up, actually. And you know how that goes. Like, things come up and you're like, oh no, I don't even want to think about that. I'm going to go do this, that, and the other so that I don't have to think about it. Take a seat. Sit down and sit with that emotion. Find where it comes from. Why are you feeling that way? Especially if you have anxiety. Oh my gosh, do yourself a solid. Sit down. Ask yourself, why am I even anxious about this? Why? Okay. Oh, okay, I see. And then, so why, what happened in the first place that started to make me feel this way? Find it and then heal it.
Yes.
If it's something that happened while you were a kid, then go to yourself as a kid. Imagine yourself.
Yes.
And then grab yourself, and just give yourself a freaking hug, dude.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, you right now, like, just give yourself a hug and tell yourself it's okay.
Yes.
You understand, everything was okay, and thank you, for being here and for having to go through this experience, but everything is okay, and it's just no longer needed for you to be here in this time, in this space. And or if it's something that you did that doesn't sit well with you,
Yes.
forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Forgive yourself. Stop beating yourself up. So go to that you in that time and space, and then you tell yourself, I forgive myself for not knowing what I know now. I forgive myself for being at a different consciousness level then, and that's what occurred because of it. I forgive myself for being so hurt that I screwed someone else over. And if you have to find whoever you may have done wrong and apologize to them or whatever, make amends, whatever's going to make you feel better, do that. That's shadow work, because you're having to confront what you did. You're having to confront yourself.
Yes.
And then you're also having to go, and if it involves someone else, I mean, you don't have to, but I did. I went to them with it. And I was like, I'm really sorry that, this occurred, that occurred, whatever, I had some stuff going on, not an explanation, not an excuse, but an explanation. And I do want to make it clear that if they do not forgive you, that is okay. You still forgive yourself, okay? And then you move forward. Now, if they cannot forgive you, now that is with them. You let that go and you move on. And if they want to process it, that's up to them. If they want to hold on to it, that's also up to them. But your job there is finished. Move on to the next thing. You keep getting stuck, you won't ever move forward. So forgiveness, unconditional love, give it to yourself. You need to become your own best friend. So if your best friend came to you and they were like, oh, I just did this, and that. What are the chances of you beating them down? Probably not high. You're probably going to tell them, it's okay, we'll figure it out. Or, yikes, your behavior sucked. But like in that video, you don't condone the person. You speak about the behavior, not the person, because people are not their behaviors. Most behaviors are learned in the first place from watching other people or your family or whatever. It's a lot of it is learned behavior. Some is inherent, whatever. I mean, deal with that then. But we should not be condoning people, because what people are doing is they accept that. And they're like, oh yeah, that's the type of person I am. Yep, that's who I am. I'm not worthy. I'm just useless. All I'm good for is whatever. And it's not true. I think when it comes down to it, it's all programming. And if we were all going through life with a different program, not a safe self-hate program, a self-love program for ourselves and others, and just the understanding that we are here for lessons, and that's going to happen.
Yes.
We are here for soul growth. Like, it is a part of why we're here. That can't happen without lessons. And you got to stop holding grudges, because when someone does something to you, it's a lesson. So stop holding the grudge. And I know a lot of people don't want to admit this, but y'all made agreements before you came here to be the person. Okay, I'll say that to you. Okay, I'll do that to you. Okay, I'll play the bad guy in your story.
Yeah, I'll play the bad guy.
Yes. Oh, I'll be the one that comes in with some words that help trigger you. Oh,
yeah.
Whatever. We all agreed for these things to happen. So get with it, y'all. Just start looking at things as, oh, that's interesting. Why'd that happen? And then figure it out and make the shift. Just tweak it in your life, because what's occurring inside of you is projecting out. So if you don't like what's going on around you, fix something inside, shift it, tweak it. Something in you needs to shift so that the things around you can shift.
Right.
And I've done that for the past year and a half. I've never seen something quite like it. And it's jaw-dropping to me that the more I change, the more that the people in my immediate area change. Like my daughter, for instance. I mean, the more I shift and change, it just happens. The more she does, the more everyone does.
Yes. If we just sometimes just change our attitude.
Yeah, just change your attitude. Change the way you see things. I know some of it sounds remarkably simple. It's because it is, but it's very hard at the same time.
It is. It's all hard work. We're not getting out of it. We're all doing the same thing. We're all in the same boat.
Yes. Oh yeah, no one's getting out of it. I mean, you could just ignore it, but chances are you're going to have to come back and then go through similar crap so that you learn the lessons that you were supposed to learn this time.
Yeah. So if you don't learn it in one relationship, you're going to take it and find it in the next, because you're attracting those lessons.
Those experiences. Yep. Yes, you are. By what you're vibing by, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, you are attracting everything to you. So everything that comes to you is just a reflection. So what it should be showing you is, whoa, that's what I got going inside me, that I attracted that. Maybe I should like tweak it up a little bit.
Well, like Linda Good McGillis was saying, we're all brothers and sisters here. We're all from one soul, and
Yes.
we all need to help each other. Okay.
Oh, most definitely.
And then, do you remember some of the things you wanted to talk about as far as her interview?
Yes, but I do apologize. I need to step away just for a second to grab my charger because this went way longer than I expected. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. I'll be right back.
Sure. So Linda Good McGillis, she's this amazing woman, and for anybody that wants to get with the most cosmic energy and where we're all headed, where we're all at, I want to suggest that you find her on YouTube. She's also on Facebook, Linda Good McGillis. Today is Cinco de Mayo, or it is 555. May 5th, 2021. She actually is at the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico right now doing some kind of a meditation. I'm kind of interested in tuning into her to see what that's all about. She's really fascinating. She's like our cosmic mother. She had a walk-in come in, and for the last 7 years, she has been instructing us on a female mother goddess heavenly aspect, and just watching her one video is going to blow your mind. And so ALYSSA watched that earlier and she took some notes, and we're going to go through some of those things before we wrap it up. You're just fascinating to talk to. I really appreciate you opening up. It wasn't that bad, right? And we had talked about how afraid it is for us to tell our story and share our vulnerabilities, if you want. And so I just appreciate you opening up like that for me and the viewers.
Oh, absolutely. And it is. And like we were speaking about before, we can't be asking people not to live in fear and then turn around and do it ourselves, right?
Right.
That's not fair. So, but some of us do need a little more time than others. Some of us are a little spooked. And I do believe that some of that, including some of mine, comes from past experiences and maybe them not going so well when you have abilities and they're open and you know how to use them, like witch burnings and stuff like that. So I think some of us carry those experiences, and
Absolutely.
and it's really, you got to get past it, and it's an inside job. And sometimes that takes some time. But once you realize that, oh yeah, either me or my ancestors had some of these experiences, which our ancestors' experiences are very much attached to us. They are in our DNA. Like on a cellular level, they are with us. And so when we have fears and there are no reason for that fear to even exist, that is because somewhere in our line, someone was scared so much that it imprinted on their DNA. They were scared, hurt, traumatized, whatever the deal, whatever that strong emotion was. And it imprints. And so that carries on into the generations. They actually did an experiment on mice where the first 2 generations, they zapped them when they got close to a specific tree. And then the 3rd and 4th generation, they did not zap, but they were terrified of that tree. They would not go near it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Right. And that's what they do with us. That's what has been going on with us, is that we have imprinted fears that we need to heal. But if you don't know that, how are you possibly supposed to be healing it? So when things come up that I did not personally experience, I know it's not mine. I have cried my eyes out over things that are not mine.
Wow.
But I know that they arose in me. So I know that they are connected to my line. And I do believe we are here to clear our lines. Like you've heard that saying, like, we are the ones our lines are waiting for.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to break the cycles.
Yes. Yes, we have to. Otherwise, this will continue, and it is not sustainable. I don't care which way you look at it. We can't keep doing this. We have, and it's also not going to be a quick fix. We have to rebuild everything, and we need to raise our children better, and we need to get back to it takes a village, and stop allowing these parents to raise their children on their own with their own devices, when it has, by design, it has been made that both parents have to work, and these kids are left to like other people that you don't even know what's happening. You don't even know they're being taught, and that's by design, and that has to stop. It just does. Like, we need to get back to community, to helping each other out, to having compassion for each other. I mean, goodness. Like, these things are lacking so much so that all of us are being called to wake up and to regain our knowledge and to spread it and to help bring this back to what it should be. This isn't what should be going on. You know, it doesn't have to be. We created it. But there's also a very empowering truth in knowing that we did create this, is that we can fix it and we can create something else because we are creators, and we can do whatever we want with that. We can use it for destruction, as we all can see, but we can also use it for love and healing and the betterment of everyone, not a small select few. What is best for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to get back to that, or more of this is going to happen. And I don't know about any of you, but I'm kind of over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she brought up in that video about memories disappearing. And I've asked some people about this, and they kind of like, some kind of get it, some don't, but I almost just can't even recall things really so much anymore. And time is, it's whatever, days, I don't know. And it just seems like things sometimes move quicker, sometimes are slower, like someone is messing with our perception of time. And what else she bring up? Oh, not picking sides. That needs to stop as well. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you're playing in the game of division, you're going to lose. And that's not my opinion. That is just straight up how it works. Like, you can't be involved in that. It's an illusion. Division, like you said, you know, we're brothers and sisters. We are all from the same source. And we really got to start acting like it and treating each other as such. And the whole like, oh, this is my truth and this is my truth and la la la. I think we all need to remember that there are levels. And so depending on what level you're sitting on, that is the truth that you are sitting in and that you are resonating with. And that, depending on you, that will change. If you decide, you know what, I want to see if there's a little more, then you'll expand more. If not, then you will sit there with that truth. And those that have expanded further need to remember and understand that what the other folks on, you know, our other brothers and sisters that are on a different level, that the truth that they know is their truth. And it is true from where they're sitting.
Yes.
And so is what we think. It's all the truth. It just matters how you're looking at it.
Yes.
Because at one point, you thought that was truth too, until you got some more information and moved up the ladder a little bit. So I think we all need to really remember what it was like for us to wake up and come up. You know, so you could be saying your truth for years, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you know, a bunch
that was completely wrong.
Yes. And so I think all of us would do better to maybe keep that in mind and just have a little more compassion. We need to help each other, not step all over each other to get to the finish line. I don't think that's the point at all. I think that those of us that have reached a higher level of awareness should be lending a hand, that we should be there to help them, and especially be there to give them your information, how you see it in that moment of when they decide, you know what, I'm going to ask. I'm going to go to this person that I know knows a lot about this, and I'm going to ask. Now, if you treat them like, oh, it's about time, or, you know, if you treat them less than, do you really think they're even going to listen? They might hear what you're saying. They're not going to use it because you just made them feel that way.
Right.
So you kind of like just squashed that chance for both of you. So we really do have to be careful how we go around this. It's almost like a lot of us are kind of turning into therapists in a way, or counselors, because this is not easy to go through, especially not knowing exactly what's happening. So the ones going through it now, from the way I'm seeing it now, are kind of like way showers, I guess, is what I've heard, right? So we're going through it, kind of like having to feel our way through it, because there's no guidebook for this. And we are going to have to share this knowledge later when more people start to really tap into their abilities, and when they come to a higher truth of what's happening here, just as soon as they're done, you know, getting through it. It really is just a process of getting, okay, I'm done with that. Now I'm on to this. Now I'm done with that. Now I'm on to this. It's really, I don't even think it ends. There's just so much of it.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Was there any more after that? Because I wanted to speak about something, but I don't want to interrupt your flow.
Let's see. I can see one thing. We talked about sending the info out. It's pain and stuff. She's starting to totally good. Oh yeah, the Ascension Symptoms. Some are going to be harder than others, you guys. Some are really easy, and some are going through this flawlessly with like barely anything. And then there are others that are having to go through quite a bit. So compassion there also would be really good because it's really not easy for everyone. And just having a higher level of consciousness and going through that, everyone thinks, oh, it's so much fun. Oh, you know, oh, look how much, you know, you've grown, or this and that. But they also don't see when you're like home, like, and you just feel like you're dying because your body is trying to get rid of this stuff and it just physically hurts. It's just keep going, keep pushing. You're going to be okay. You're going to be better for it. And there are a lot of people out there. Like, I mean, I guess not like a lot, but way more than before, where you can talk to people about this and bounce it off of them, and you don't sound crazy. They're going to welcome you because they understand what's happening to you. And it's okay. Just hang in there, but don't give up. It's nothing worth having is easy. So if it's rough for you, then it's all the more reason that when you get through it, it's probably going to be just freaking amazing for you. You know?
I think the whole not holding grudge thing is so important because if you could learn how to process things quickly, just move through those emotions, okay? I think we get caught up because we try to understand, you know? We get stuck because our brains want to understand, because nobody wants it to happen again. We want to solve it without any more trauma, you know, or hurt or pain. So we get stuck. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? It's almost being frozen, like with the deer in the headlight. What do I do? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Think fast, let it go, forgive, move on. It's the grudges. It's the holding the grudges. It's like staying stuck in the headlights. But
Oh yeah.
would that be kind of like a good analogy? The grudging?
Yeah, because that's what it does. So now imagine yourself being stuck there. Like how I talk about going back for the pieces of you. Okay? So, yeah, you're frozen in time.
Wow,
Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So think about that. Like when that event happened, now think of you here and then you split. There we go. And then you split off. This one that split off keeps going, but that piece stays here.
Yes.
And it kind of like holds what's happening here.
It's almost
and
like
it's
being
just
fractured.
Yes, right? Yeah. And there it'll stay until you go and retrieve it.
Wow, that's blowing my mind. Imagine how many pieces are stuck out there and they're just fractured. And
Yeah.
part of calling those things back in to be whole again. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
We gotta call our pieces home. Like we need them. They have to come back. We can't keep doing this because then we have nothing. You know what I mean? Like if we just keep allowing that to happen. Yes.
Right?
Yes. And then what? Yeah. Exactly.
That's crazy.
So I think it's right. That's how I see it in my head.
Wow.
But,
yes. See, that's what we need to do is talk about it so people can literally see it in their head and understand it. Now that understanding comes with communicating, expressing,
yes.
and that's how we heal. And that's why we're doing these podcasts. It's even if a little bit can help the viewers say, ta-da, I got it, and help to pull their pieces back, you know?
Yes.
Was there any other ones? Because as soon as you go through your notes, I have something that I wanted to explain. And by the way, my sister Candy gave this to me for my birthday. So on one side, you've got Paris, and because I love Paris. And then the other side, you have my name. I just love this. Thank you, sis. Thank you.
That is so cute. But I think that was it on our video. I'd only gotten about halfway through before we started. But I mean, y'all though, check that lady out. She is just.
I'm gonna type her name right now, Linda.
Yes.
Good.
She's just 100% like putting things out there. And again, just take whatever resonates with you and you know, discard the rest. But it doesn't change the fact that what she's saying has, you know, mega truth from some people's understandings that she is, you know, putting out there. But she is pretty mind-blowing.
She will
so
blow your mind. Okay. She will help you put those pieces back together. She will help you connect the dots. And her name's Linda Good McGillis.
Yeah, this gal sounds like if you're looking for triggers, you should go watch some of her videos because, man.
Coco, you look beautiful, by the way. See that beauty? Look at her, my friend Coco right there. She's watching. Can you see her picture on the comment?
Oh, yeah, I just saw it pop up.
Yeah, that's a comment we just got. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Coco.
We're gonna have Coco on maybe tomorrow or the next day. We're trying. I had some tendonitis in my arm like 3-4 weeks ago where literally my arm stopped. That was my clue to stop and heal and relax. I was doing too much. But now I'm good. I'm starting to get my energy back. It just
Have you
tendonitis. Just couldn't move it.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of like clap therapy?
What is it?
Clap, like clapping. I used to do it before I knew that it was actually a thing. So I was in like a lot of pain, right? So I would slap whatever area was in pain, and I didn't know.
I love it.
Yes,
Slap?
but it actually, yes, you just slap
that
it, right?
feels good. Oh, that
Yes.
does. That
Yes.
feels good. Okay, so if I
Yes.
slap the crap out of someone, I'm doing it for a good reason.
Yeah, I'm so serious. I'll talk to you more about it later, but it also helps bring out like toxins and stuff like that in your tissues or
Okay.
whatever, and the microcirculation, which is extremely important. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I want to explain the generational thing and our DNA and how it works. So when we live our lives, we create like a timeline, like kind of liken it to a ribbon that gets imprinted with your program of your life and everything you did. It's a ribbon. Now, when you have a baby, half of your ribbon and half of the male's ribbon joins together to have the baby. Okay? Right. So now you're running your mother's program and your father's. And then when that child has a baby with the partner, that ribbon gets ripped in half and the partner's ribbon. So now you're running the program of, 4 generations or whatever. And then so on and so on. So now you carry the lineage of 7 generations back. And so you have these timelines or programs that you're running from your ancestors. And we will keep running those same programs until we wake up enough and become aware enough to know that. And that's where we have to break those cycles, because you're creating your own ribbon that's going to be passed on. So eventually we'll be able to weed out, if we all weed out that one bad thing on that one ancestor, we'll weed it out. But that's how like things of alcoholism and drug abuse and suffering and whatever gets reran over and over. Okay. You have to be aware enough. Now here's where we need to also know about our future and our past timelines or whatever. So it bear with me while I think about this. Okay, so it is said that we're running the past and the future at the same time, right? And Linda Good McGillis will tell you that as well. We are living in the moment where the past and the future is all happening at the same time. So we have our past lives are like those 8 ribbons or 7 ribbons in the dark or dead or past. And then we have ribbons of the future that are all these ribbons are like playing and coming back. So it's like infinity. It's like your very own infinity. If you can think of it like the ball or the sun or a globe is right here. And those ribbons, they shoot out and go in like a half of an 8, go through what we're going through now, okay? And then they shoot out again and come around the other side. So this is infinity. And those timelines just shoot out like ribbons, or like a plane, if you will, like an energetic recording. And we're just going back and forth, back and forth. Well, our job was to stop, to remember all of those memories from all of those different time cycles, remember them and let them go into the Akashic records, so that now we're just running empty programs. Now we don't have any more memories. We're processing it all. That's why we're all here. Eventually we're going to let all those ribbons go, and we're going to be an empty vessel. That's what I think she's saying. And that's when we are going to be filled with more of the creator essence. And that's when we're going to experience our 17-foot true essence. Like, we're really giants being
we are
little tiny. We shrunk the kids, right? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Well, we're humans, but our souls are grand and huge. Okay. So that's what's happening right now. If you don't clear those timelines and ribbons, guess what? You're going to go back yet through another one. You're going to keep going and going and going and going. And so that's what a lot of people are doing here right now, is to become an empty vessel, so that your higher self or whatever creator source, I don't know. I have to go listen to her again, so that we can now be cosmic citizens. And on a cosmic level, we have to stop judging each other. We have to stop living in fear. We have to stop creating traumas. We have to stop, hurting the earth and so much. So if you want to learn more about that, go ahead and listen to Linda Good McGillis, and that'll help you to understand what we are all doing here at this time, because we don't have to go through those life cycles anymore. We don't have to incarnate anymore if our soul chooses. So
if you choose.
Yeah. So
it's a choice.
And then, did you ever pick up on anything about reincarnation, or have you ever traveled to the moon, or have you ever experienced anything of that nature?
I haven't traveled to the moon. I haven't really tried. Honestly, I'm still confused on what exactly the moon is. I have met the sun, but not the moon. From what I'm understanding, the karmic chain has broke. If you're conscious enough, if you're awake enough and you're shifting these things, there's no need for another go around. I'm kind of taking it as, if these things are happening for you, you've kind of passed that line. You're at least awake enough to know that you don't have to do this again. And because I feel like maybe it was kind of a trap and we were getting siphoned back in.
Yes.
At some point.
Yeah.
Right?
That would be nice. Mm-hmm.
Right. And now I think it's going to be more of a choice, like we were talking about. And I think if you do have to come back again, that it is because you did not wake up this time. And I feel for you, because with all the shit in our faces right now, if you can't wake up, I don't know what you're going to come back into. So we're to our true selves, which means we do have to, get rid of all this programming and this. Yes, we have to
good and bad, evil, not evil, dark, light. That's all just two sides of the same coin, right?
Yes, that is the understanding that I've been coming to the past few months, and it is hard to accept that, depending on what programs you're running. I decided to break my programming and to just tear it all down and reprogram myself completely to what I want, to what I feel is best, to what benefits everyone, not just me, but also benefits me. Like, don't leave yourself out, you guys. That's not the point either. You're not here to just give. We're supposed to be doing energy exchanges. We're supposed to be, someone, you give what you get kind of thing. So if you give nothing, you get nothing. And you can't just take, but you also can't give. It's a balance. You have to find the harmony in this. And I think that that's a big deal of what's going on here, is finding harmony.
Yes. Harmony. And that's going to be a good way to end this podcast. We've gone on for 2 hours, and my God, I could talk to you forever, girlfriend.
Right?
Have you back on here, and we'll talk about things like harmony and how important music is, and
oh my gosh, yeah.
How important it is to live in harmony, and how do we do that, and things like that. But yeah, so do you have anything that you want to close with or say before we sign off?
Be nice to yourselves. Honestly, don't beat yourself up. No matter what it is, it just doesn't matter. None of this is real, like, in a sense. I mean, so maybe stop taking yourself so seriously would be a great piece of advice. And to have fun. Yes. I know there's some terrible stuff going on. Do you need to drown in that emotion? No, you don't, unless you decide you want to. But I can tell you what is needed is humor and love, and the people around you need it just as much as you do.
Yes.
And I just encourage you guys to be pumping that out and stay aware and stay connected and centered. Breathe. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, breathe from like the deepest part of your spine. Just breathe. And on your exhale, just know everything's going to be okay. One way or the other, it's going to work out, and you're going to handle it.
Yes.
You're here.
One thing that I want to end it with is we have to live in integrity, honesty, yes, truthfulness, all of those good things. That's going to stop you from creating more imprinting, or call it karma. You're going to stop imprinting on those ribbons or whatever your timeline is. If you walk in good graces, if you walk in, tread lightly. Don't create so much havoc to where you're putting more imprinting on your soul or your timeline, so we can free ourselves from that. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to be namaste. It's going to be honoring people. All those funny key catchphrases. Namaste. I honor you.
Yep.
That's the key right there. So if we could sign off with that, the place in me honors the place in you. Namaste.
Absolutely. Namaste.
Namaste. And namaste to everybody who checked us out and listened. And I hope you will like my channel and subscribe. And let's have you back on soon, okay?
Absolutely. I would love to. Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
It was amazing.
And you guys just stay centered and do what you think is right and speak up. Speak up for the things that you do not think is right. It's very important.
Yes. Very true. I'm going to end the broadcast, but I want you to stay on. Don't hang up, okay? And everybody else, have a wonderful Cinco de Mayo and have a blessed day.